What is up, everybody? My name is Kyle Matovcik. I am the host of the In Liberty and Health podcast, where we talk all things liberty, health and wellness, and beyond. My hope is to encourage and spread the message of liberty and physical and mental well-being. I hope you enjoy all the topics we talk about with our guests. We're on all major streaming platforms, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Man, I'm doing as good as anyone can do getting buried by his 13-year-old son on leg day.
I'm not going to apologize for not being on this podcast because I got to go see Metallica. So if that's a problem, kiss my ass.
Okay?
All right.
All right, this is In Liberty and Health, episode number 112, and I have the almighty Maj Toure with me. This is a conversation I've been looking forward to having for quite a while. Maj, how you doing, brother?
Wonderful. How are you?
Excellent. I'm very, very excited to find out that you're a fellow GM driver just like myself. So that puts us at a little advantage here. So real quick, just give like a brief introduction to yourself, and then we'll kind of roll from there.
Yeah, I'm Maj Toure, the founder of Black Guns Matter, a firearm safety and training organization. We do conflict resolution, de-escalation, stop the bleed classes, basic firearms training for beginners in Philadelphia and all around the country. The classes are free to all, just to try to do our part to make sure that everyone understands and exercises their right to defend their life and protect life in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's awesome stuff, and I think that's something very, very needed. And one thing I've always admired about you is the solutionary aspect of what you teach to people. Is that it's never let's increase conflict, let's destroy. It's always let's figure out a solution to the problem. And I think we need a little bit more of that in political dialogue and obviously life overall.
Yeah, 100%. I think that what happens is it's more difficult at times when you allow television or media to make you focus so heavy on the potential problems of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens a little too often. So what we try to do is with the solutionary lifestyle is we recognize a problem, and then we figure out what the actual solution to that problem is, and we apply it. If it works, then that's great. We don't have to talk about this problem anymore. I think that approach handles life a lot better. And so if we focus on, we recognize the issue, but we're not going to focus on the negative portion of that issue. We're going to focus on how do we solve this, and that translates into all of the areas of human activity. So that's our little mantra in regards to the solutionary lifestyle.
Absolutely, and I think that's awesome. So one thing that I kind of thought about just as you were speaking there, I know you're familiar with Ian Smith over there in New Jersey. It's really, really sad to see somebody that should have been the ideal Republican candidate for Congress only to get completely rejected by the GOP. And if I recall correctly, you kind of had a similar experience. So what are your thoughts surrounding the Libertarian Party and the Republican Party as it stands in 2022?
So over the last few weeks, in regards to the Libertarian Party, huge shouts to the Mises Caucus, who did their job over the last 5 years of redirecting the Libertarian Party on a national level. Mm-hmm. The Libertarian Party is the third largest political party in America, and just like the Republican Party used to be, the grand old party having a Big Ten over there, we actually are what the GOP pretends to be now. There's a very diverse dialogue of different perspectives in the libertarian tent, even about certain seemingly polarizing issues. So we obviously have just had the Roe versus Wade being overturned. And if anybody is not aware that decision back in the day, Supreme Court got it wrong. It was constitutionally inaccurate. It was based on, a lie, like quite literally a lie, or a few lies. And so with that being the case, it was redirected. That means the redirection of a thing, even if it was initially wrong, is something that we should be good and happy about. Mm-hmm. The Libertarian Party is in a space where it's redirected by the Mises Caucus, who now pretty much controls all of the seats on a delegate level, across the nation. And that's a great thing. That means more people like Ian Smith, more people like Major Williams over in California running for governor, who ran for governor, more people like Tony Cowden ran for office down in North Carolina, Angela Stanton King, who ran for a seat under the GOP. All of these people have had horrible interactions with the GOP of their state and nationally. The reason being is because the GOP is in the so-called Republican Party is a far cry away from the days of the great and mighty Frederick Douglass. A far cry away from being limited government, a far cry away from being what they were supposed to be. And under those same conditions that birthed the Republican Party to be what it once was and not what it is anymore are the same conditions that have birthed or rebirthed the Libertarian Party. And these are the fertile conditions for such good candidates as the people that I just named to come be a part of the Libertarian Party National with the Mises Caucus at the helm, with a BLM, a Black Libertarian movement, to make sure that all of the bases are being covered. And I think that the GOP's unwillingness to support strong candidates, I mean, if you think about it, the GOP honestly didn't even really fully get behind Donald Trump, if we're going to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
People have mixed feelings about him, but we're talking about a dynamic person that understands international business, has understood it for over 40 years, that international business relates to international diplomacy, so forth and so on. So if you couldn't get behind that person fully, you got to fight with the own GOP with someone that's, in all honesty, a pop star, then obviously they're not going to really get behind it. They are in alignment with kind of like the NRA. They are a law enforcement agency, not a liberty for the people agency. And so this is what we recognize. But this is, again, as solutionaries, we don't focus too much on what the problem is. We focus on the solution. The solution is most Americans that identify or, as Republican, if they're dissatisfied with the current standing of the GOP not doing anything, they were not in staunch opposition to the government bailouts during the COVID regime. You had some people opposing the mask mandates and lockdowns, but a lot of those same governors locked their states down in the beginning and just approached how they did. My point there is, if you as an American are tired of weak GOP leadership, and we all know that the Democrats have been horrible for America and our communities in general, if you're tired of those, you should start looking into independent and or libertarian. Again, I say independent because I want even the Libertarian Party to have an understanding of competition. We're not just bringing all of the folks just to here for you to make the same mistake. It needs to be healthy competition. That's good for the marketplace. That's good for the political marketplace. So if you're an American that's hearing this and you happen to identify currently as Republican and you see weak leadership in your town and, with Republicans, you should start looking into libertarians. If you live in the state of New York, you should be looking into Larry Sharpe for governor. There's a Black gubernatorial candidate for Tennessee. And I say Black because I want people to understand that this runs, that people are trying to package libertarians as just the white dudes. Larry Sharpe's Black. The gubernatorial candidate is Black. I'm Black. If you couldn't tell. So these are things that, we want to make sure that we're pushing back against this false narrative that, to be perfectly honest, the duopoly has presented to make sure that this party doesn't seem like it's inclusive with the principles of liberty. And so if you recognize that and you want a different opportunity, you want to put your vote in a direction that is outside of the same old from the left and the right, you should go libertarian in my humble view.
Yeah, and I definitely think after Donald Trump, the GOP had changed somewhat for the better and also somewhat from the worse. But you saw Donald Trump in 2020 knocking someone like Thomas Massie, who's the ideal Republican, a libertarian. And he said that he should have been thrown out of the GOP when he came to oppose, these ridiculous COVID bailout bills. So that to me really disenfranchised me as a person who would potentially vote GOP when you see the president, who's supposed to be an anti-authoritarian and an anti-regime kind of guy, knocking probably the most anti-regime, congressman that there is in Congress currently.
Right.
So that's why I kind of think we had to move on for the GOP.
I spoke on the phone to our good brother Massey down in the great state of Kentucky, representing for the state of Kentucky after that.
Okay.
And I won't go too much into what we discussed after he got off the phone with then President Trump. But it was an eye-opener for me. And even outside of just that conversation, there should be a recognizing that any president that is consistently continuing to be a war hawk, unnecessarily. Listen, I live in America. I believe we should have a strong military for legitimate threats, not just because we want to expand the empire. We're expanded too thin. Or even if we're not expanded too thin, we shouldn't just be doing it. We don't have to be the world's police. It's not our job, and we're not getting paid for it. Infrastructure issues in our nation in and of itself. So when I see, and again, there's things that I think Trump did great. I think it was great for the business of America. I think it was not that great for the Second Amendment. I don't think he was the best diplomatic person, but I'm not all times, especially like on Twitter, I'm not the most diplomatic person, So I see the pros and the cons, but as a single issue voter, I think it was weak on the Second Amendment. When he had the House, the Senate, and the executive branch, he could have got at least, I don't know, silencers off the NFA list or repealed the NFA. So these are the things that remind us that we need to always be vigilant. And just because you like a guy for a moment doesn't mean that he doesn't have other areas that you disagree with, or you may not be as familiar with outstanding public servants such as Thomas Massey, but you need to get familiar because these are the type of public servants that we need to cultivate, highlight, educate, and promote. And so the GOP is not what it used to be. Again, it's not what Frederick Douglass and the first 13 Black senators were, and it's not what it was about, and it's not what it is. And that's why this experiment called America is very important, because it's a republic if you can keep it, and so we're stretching a little bit beyond the time that this, experiment was supposed to be going on. But if we retool and redirect, I think that we can expand it for a lot longer. But we have to recognize that statists, war hawks, bootlickers, and the like, they have no place in the actual what it means to be, a member of the GOP, a member to be, what it means to be conservative. This is not what we're getting. And we, as the people, reserve the right to educate and inform ourselves about the civic process thoroughly, to the point where we can explain why certain people are not fit to do the job. And I think if we do that more, then we will get more of the people like Ian Smith, Tony Cowden, Angela Stanton King, Major Williams, and the like, that are should be defecting from the GOP any moment now, to bring more strength to the cause for liberty. And I think that's a legitimate position to take.
Yeah, and just as well as I do, because you're in Philadelphia. I'm about an hour north of Pittsburgh. Here in Pennsylvania, we do have a pretty strong Libertarian Party, and there's a lot of people that kind of poo-poo it and say that, oh, you just won uncontested races. But we kind of don't know what this network of people and all these libertarians working together, these different county affiliates, look like, let's say 5-6 years down the road. I mean, this could be a completely different colored state. It would no longer be a blue state, perhaps.
I think that even that talking point of like, we want uncontested white supremacists or all of this, that sounds like somebody, if I was trying to discredit something, that's what I would say, especially in this climate. And me, everybody know I'm pro-Black. Everybody knows that. Like, there's no qualm to me between advocating for the community that I'm a part of, that historically has been the most dirty by the state. There's nothing wrong with advocating for that community in which I live. That does not mean we're just trying to like exclude every other group of people. What that does mean is, if I'm the dude that everyone understands is primarily doing work in Black communities, and I'm saying Black people should be libertarian, y'all know I'm not going to try to bring y'all into something. I leave organizations. I haven't been a part of the libertarian movement when it was under the old leadership because of that reason. I think that old guard had more to do with the things that they're accusing this current and new guard of being. And so I think it's very, we got to step back from the elephant and see the scope of it. It's very telling for people to try to call something what they are. I think there's a bit of projection going on there. And even outside of our own folks, and I say our loosely because they may have chosen to oppose us even within the Libertarian Party. I think that there's people outside of even our rank and file that are still attempting to perpetuate that false narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to make sure that we're making inroads into communities that makes it impossible for that narrative to continue to exist. Mm-hmm. And we do that by outreach, not pandering. We do that by outreach in communities, expressing what libertarianism actually is and means, and then making that available to those people to make their own decisions and choices. In essence, being libertarian,
mm-hmm.
you know. And so I think under that thought process, we get a lot more progress. All of the people that come kick it with me and I discuss what libertarianism is, and they happen to be from the hood or happen to be Black, they're in alignment with it. So we just got to keep the cause and conversation about liberty. See how the state has been horrible for all communities for the most part, mm-hmm. and make sure we stand on our principles. And if we do it that way, you know, we can get outside of these false narratives that whoever they are, is attempting to foist onto us. And I'm gonna make sure I do my part to make sure we knocking that false narrative back and down.
Absolutely. And I think you do a lot of good work in that regards. I know you're a little pinched for time, but I have a few more things I kind of want to hit on with you if you're still good.
Yeah.
What does your health routine kind of look like? Because I see you're pretty damn jacked and I see you occasionally throwing up videos of you working out. So what does your exercise routine and diet kind of look like?
I am now putting more plant-based things into my body. Mm-hmm. This does not mean, because I know people go crazy, oh, these damn vegetarians. I've been a vegetarian at certain points in my life for 10-year stretches. Mm-hmm. I think I felt healthy, but I put on more mass when I'm eating meat. So I'm more on more life and plants and living things, living juices, living fruits and vegetables, water into my body, along with just hitting the gym. I'm in the gym at least 5 days out of the week. I think that the Second Amendment community and the liberty community in general needs to focus more on health and fitness. We've been partnering with tigerfitness.com to make sure that people that want more supplements, especially with inflation being what it is, people that want more vitamins and minerals and supplements, you can use the code Solutionary on that website and get 10% off. And 10% may not seem like a lot, but if you spend $500 and get $50 off, it is. We want the Liberty community to be jacked, ripped, strong, because we're up against monsters. We legitimately are up against monsters, and health and fitness is going to be a critical component. And I don't even just mean in armed or hand-to-hand combat. I also mean just being around to fight this long fight. This fight for liberty, you know, we got to start thinking 10, 20, 30 years down the line. And if somebody's 30 years old, bro, I need you to drink more water. I need you to cut back on your beer. I need you to put more life in your body. This doesn't mean you have to be a vegan. If you want to, cool. You know, do what you want. But what I'm saying is drinking water, being in the sun, doing manual labor to strengthen the body, going to the gym, putting cardio in, getting on a yoga mat, you know, lowering our cholesterol. The biggest killer in my community is heart disease and high blood pressure. These are things that even if you're the best libertarian or liberty-minded person in the world, you die at 40 years old because of a heart attack. We can't use you in this fight anymore. You know, and so these are the things that we're pushing again. And I know it's a shameless plug, but I want everybody to go over there and take advantage of that until the end of this month. You know, they help us with our work. A lot of that bread is coming back to us, you know, at the Solutionary Center. So one hand wash the other and they both get together to wash the face. So we want companies that reach out to us that support our work. We want everyone to support that. We want, and that's the byproduct is it helps our work. But outside of that, we need our guys and women. You know, you a gun guy, but you look like you can't even run up the street. You know, right. If we're liberty guys, if we're liberty guys, we're real smart generally, but we're nerds. We might not be fucking ready to fight if we need to, you know? And so this is a critical component to the holistic approach to liberty. You cannot have a revolution without a revolution of your mind and your fucking stomach. Like, you will die from sodium. Like, you will die, you know? And so health and fitness is a critical component of the solutionary lifestyle. Again, I cannot stress this enough, man. Go to these websites that we do these partnerships with. And I'm not partnering with a company that's not, there's a reason why. We partner with Phoenix Ammo because we want a ammunition company that's not going to be down with the lockdowns and the police having a firearm and ammo that the general public does not have. That's where our freedom and understanding of liberty aligns. We only align with those types of companies. And so there's a reason for that. And that reason being is because we vote with our dollar, we vote with our time, and we need to be around longer to continue to vote in these ways from a healthy, mentally sane, spiritually aligned position. So that's my overall take on health and fitness. If you aren't in the gym now, you should start small. If you want to email me and get some ways to, like, how do I start? Email me, solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. Let's talk about it. But just having a gun is not enough. I got a bunch of guns. But I also can run a 3.5 minute mile, you know, and pushing past beyond that. So we just got to make sure that we're on top of it. Just because you're a lover of liberty and know everything about all of the great liberty-minded folks, you know, that's book knowledge. But now you need to put some muscles and some endurance and some strength and flexibility there to make sure that you're a well-rounded libertarian.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, I got 3 quick questions, and then we can rock and roll, if that's good with you.
Yeah.
What does liberty look like to you?
The absence of impediment to my forward movement, advancement, and choices.
Awesome. What does health look like to you, Maj?
Water, actually, is a better way. Obviously, you got to drink water, but good health to me looks like flexibility, strength, and endurance.
Beautiful.
You got to be strong, and you have to have the ability to endure.
Nice. Maj, where can everybody find you, brother?
Email me, solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. Website to register for the free classes, solutionarylifestyle.org. Donate. All of these classes are completely free because of you guys' donations. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary. So solutionarylifestyle@gmail.com. GiveSendGo.com/solutionary, and register for the classes at solutionarylifestyle.org.
Awesome. All right. Well, you heard them, everybody. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Maj, I really appreciate you having on, man.
Thank you. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Cool. See ya.